Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this video or this live finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So, this is the weekly Astro Forecast for the week of December 30th through January 5th. 2024 to 2025. So, this is the last live stream of the year. How are we feeling that 2024 is literally just, we have one day left? How are you feeling about that? I mean, I feel like this year was a blur mostly. I've been asked this question and have asked this question to several people since like last week. And the consensus is that a lot of people are like, okay, I'm ready for this year to be over. This year was really difficult. Or even if this year wasn't like your most difficult year, it's like you just want to have this change of energy. And 2025 is definitely going to bring it to you. Okay. I did the yearly astro forecast. I believe I dropped that last week. If you haven't checked it out already, I would suggest that you do because it is a lot. Let's see. Do I have that graphic here? Yeah. So it's the 2025 yearly astro forecast. You will find it linked below and also tagged this video. I did general plus I did by sign. So I got you covered when it comes to the astrology for 2025. And like I said, 2025 is going to be one of those years. And it's not to say that it's necessarily going to be a hard year. Like there is a lot going on. But it just means the energy is different. And everything always depends on your intention and how you use the energy. So, where someone could have like the worst year ever, you could have the best year of your life, depending on how you use the energy. And you'll know how you use the energy if you watch the video. So, definitely watch that if you haven't already. But that's 2025. We're not quite there yet. We're still at the tail end of 2024. And this week, as a matter of fact, today we have a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. We are now in Capricorn season. But what's interesting is that this is the second new moon for the month of December. And so this moon is called a black moon. That's when you have two new moons in the same month. All right. And so December has been like bookend with new moon. So we started the month with a new moon in Sagittarius, and we're basically ending the month with a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. And so Capricorn is a very serious kind of sign, right? And I don't know about you, but this new moon, it feels very structured. It feels very rigid almost. Now, the astrology for the week is interesting because it really sort of speaks to what we think about, December 31st into January 1st. The astrology is really setting us up to really solidify some things going into 2025. And it's going to be a week where it feels like almost a paradox. Okay. On the one hand, especially with the new moon in Capricorn energy today, like I said, it feels kind of rigid. It feels kind of structured, that very Capricorn, icy kind of energy, right? And then later on in the week, we have Venus moving into Pisces, which is this like fairy like energy. It's very lighthearted. It's very loving. It's very tender. It's very spiritual, even. So we have this paradox of energy this week. And even though it may feel like extremes, it actually goes really well with sort of the whole New Year's resolution going into new fiscal new year kind of vibe, right? So that's pretty much what we have going on for this week. All right. And we do have a bit of volatility this week. Okay. So I'll be getting into that in a little bit. But by and large, this is going to be a week of solidifying things and longevity and dreaming. All right. So without further ado, do I need to discuss anything? Oh, yeah. I didn't do announcements and housekeeping. So, by way of housekeeping, if you are joining me live here tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I see Monarca is here. Thank you so much. And she said, excited for the new year. Yes, I am too. Even though for me, 2024 wasn't like an abomination, I've had, 2023 and 2021 were like perhaps, along with 2019, were perhaps like the worst years of my life. But I am ready for some fresh energy, and I bet that you guys are too. All right. So if you are joining me here on the live, tap in, say hi on your way in, and hit that like button, please. And thank you. So if you're looking for a way to support the channel, subscribes and likes are definitely the way to go. And they're free, right? It lets the algorithm know that you like this content. So it will push it to other people who like this content. And one of my I'm not sure if you watched my video series on preparing for 2025. I did a 3-part video series that I dropped, I guess, like 2 weeks ago. I'll link that in the description box as well, where I talk about planning for 2025. And my word for 2025 is intentional. I was just talking to my sister earlier about how 2024 was kind of meh for me because 2023 was so hard that when it came to 2024, I was like, I have absolutely no expectations. I didn't set any goals. I didn't do anything until 2024. Although I got things done, there was definitely this sort of aimless energy. It wasn't directed anywhere. So to combat that in 2025, I'm being very intentional. So in order to live up to this intentionality, I've set a goal of reaching 5,000 subscribers by the spring equinox. All right. By the time we hit the first day of Aries season, I would love to have 5,000 subscribers. And clearly, I would need your help for that. So if you like this content, definitely subscribe, especially if you're someone who's watched my videos but hasn't subscribed yet. Definitely hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, share this information with people because trust and believe, I like to look at these as like weather forecasts, right? If you know there's going to be a snowstorm on Friday, you're going to plan accordingly. You're not going to plan to wear a bathing suit and flip-flops if it's going to be -4 degrees and a blizzard, right? That's exactly what astrology does. So if you find this information informative, enlightening, it confirms things for you, share it so that other people can get to see it too. All right. So hopefully we will reach 5,000 subscribers by the spring equinox. All right. And if you are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you get the enlightenment, confirmation, clarity, illumination that you're looking for in this broadcast. And if you do, hit that like button, subscribe button, hit notification bell if you haven't already. All right. So as we are getting into 2025, you're probably going to want to know what 2025 has in store for you. So I would suggest that you book my 2025 year ahead reading, which is called The Next Chapter. And I basically break down 2025 to you from soup to nuts. I let you know everything that's relevant to you, the important dates, the themes that are going to come up, and how the year is going to look like for you. It is a very comprehensive reading. All right. And if you're interested, link will be in the description box below and also tagged to this video. All right. So that is pretty much it by way of housekeeping and announcements. So let's get into the week. All right. So I want to talk about the theme for the week, and I like to call it fact or fiction, or fact versus fiction. And that's kind of how this week is going to feel, okay? And I kind of alluded to this before when I talked about how we're starting off the week with this new moon in Capricorn, right? And then we have Venus moving into Pisces, all right? Pisces is going to be a major player in our lives come January. And I feel like Venus and Pisces is actually going to give us a little bit of a flavor of that. Like Venus and Pisces is going to get us ready for when the North Node moves into Pisces at the end of January. And Pisces, the energy of Pisces is kind of hard to pin down, right? It's very spiritual. It's very ethereal. It's very dreamlike. It rules fantasy. It rules illusion and disillusionment, right? All of that kind of stuff. And so this week, I call the theme fact or fiction because it's like Saturn and Capricorn. Well, Saturn and Capricorn. Saturn is in Pisces, but Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is the master of the material, okay? Saturn is all about what's practical, what you can touch, what you can feel, right? The 5 senses, the practicality and the discipline of life, right? What we would consider to be facts. And so why is this important, this fact or fiction theme that I'm talking about? Because the fact that Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, and don't forget, we're currently in Capricorn season. The ruler of Capricorn, Saturn, is in Pisces. Okay. And so that is like being able to take this sort of nebulous Pisces energy, this flowy energy. Like if you've ever tried to catch a fish while it was swimming, you probably couldn't hold on to it, right? Like that's the energy of Pisces. Saturn gives form to that nebulousness. Saturn is like the fact, Pisces is the fiction. And when you put the two together, you can do some really amazing things. Because here's the thing, Pisces energy is very much about dreams, right? When we think about dreams, we think about the things that we want. We think about what we desire, what we want to be, what we want to do, right? But our dreams are somewhere up here and they're nebulous, right? It's almost like, so when you see on TV or mostly in cartoons, when they show people's dreams, what do they show them as, right? They show them as like clouds, right? You can't really grasp it. You can't contain it. Saturn in Pisces gives us this structure to dreams. Okay. It gives our dreams parameters. It gives our dreams limits and boundaries. And in doing so, it makes your dreams more attainable. It makes them possible, even. It takes them from this helium balloon that you can't hold on to something that's more grounded and stable. And this is equally important for two reasons. Number one, we have a new moon today. And a new moon is when you plant seeds and set intentions, right? When this is the beginning of the lunar cycle. So it's like, okay, we have this new moon where, okay, you're going to want to look at where Capricorn is in your chart. That will let you know what kind of seeds you're planting. But it gives you the opportunity to plant the seeds of your dreams, to plant seeds that are long term, to plant seeds of the things that you want to invest in. And this plays perfectly into the energy of this week because we're about to start a new fiscal year, right? It's the whole new year, new me rhetoric that we always tell ourselves every January 1st. The slate is wiped clean. We can start again. We can try again. We can do better this time around. And Saturn, specifically the new moon in Capricorn and Saturn in Pisces, is giving us the tools to do that. So this gives staying power to whatever you're resolving for 2025. It allows you to take this amorphous dream and turn it into a project, right? A project with steps, a project that, you measure the metrics of, that you track, that you commit to. So we have the staying power for that. So it's not a matter of, and I wrote it as fact versus fiction because, like I said, the energy feels very paradoxical. It feels like, okay, am I going to really be grounded and perhaps try to plant seeds of things that I know will be successful? Or am I going to be Delulu and think about becoming a millionaire this year, even though I don't have two nickels to rub together, right? You don't have to choose either or. It's not a versus situation. It's an and situation. Don't limit yourself in the dream, but when it comes to the dream, limit yourself into the execution. I think I forgot who I said this to, but recently I said to someone, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? You can't gobble the whole thing. Even a snake that can unhinge its jaw can't do that, right? So it's about having the dream and taking the realistic steps to make it a reality. Now, the thing with Saturn and the thing with this new moon in Capricorn is that it requires discipline, and discipline is consistency. At this time of year, whatever seeds you are planting at this new moon, plant seeds of consistency, plant seeds of discipline. Make sure that you're not just keeping it as this nebulous thing like, oh yeah, I want to lose weight this year, but you're not willing to work out. You're not willing to change your diet. That's fiction, right? On the other hand, you have fact, which is like, well, maybe I'll only set this goal of 5 pounds this year. There's 12 months in a year and you're like, okay, I'm only going to lose 5 pounds. Like, don't limit yourself either, but have the dream and be disciplined enough to take the action steps to fulfill that dream. All right. So it's not fact versus fiction, it's both. All right. So that's pretty much the theme for this week. All right. I also like, I also, another part of this theme that I wrote that I realized is love, but with boundaries. Okay. So this is something that may come up particularly with Venus in Pisces, which we're going to experience this week. Okay. Now, while that's happening, the sun is still in Capricorn, and Venus in Pisces is love without boundaries. Yeah, it's that spiritual twin flame, all of that stuff kind of love, right? And it also may get you to perhaps overvalue things, or it's definitely like rose colored glasses, beer goggles kind of transit, right? So the fact that you may have this dream or this desire or this love for somebody or something, I feel like the sun in Capricorn is going to be like, listen, yeah, love with boundaries. Definitely keep things contained, set healthy boundaries for yourself. And then the other thing that I want to mention, what I put down was longevity with optimism, especially going into this new fiscal year. It's like, the longevity part is the Saturn part. The optimism is the Pisces, Venus and Pisces energy, right? And so when you think about this dream that you have and the action steps that you have to commit to, it can definitely be a daunting thing, right? When you think about, oh my gosh, I'm committing to losing 40 pounds this year, what working out every day is going to feel like, what changing your diet is going to be like, it seems daunting, right? And then having to do it repeatedly for months on end can feel very daunting. However, Venus and Pisces also gives you a sense of optimism, right? In the sense that whatever you're committing to, you clearly value. You wouldn't commit yourself to something that you don't like or that wouldn't be valuable or at the very least helpful to you, right? So, with this intention setting, with this New Year's resolution making, be willing to commit to whatever it is, but also tap into that energy of optimism, right? You're not doing this for no reason. It's like when you're setting up a savings account, right? And you think about, okay, I'm saving up for a home. Now, having to not eat out as much, not go shopping, maybe not take any trips over the next year, right? That shit sucks, right? But think of how you feel when you see your bank account growing. And depending on the type of account that you have, maybe you're getting really good interest rates. Well, let's just say that the money at least is stockpiling, right? And how good it feels to see that number going up, and how you're envisioning being in that house and how now you're seeing it. It's like it's almost like breadcrumbing in a sense, right? You have this dream, you're like, okay, I want to get this house. I'm saving for a down payment. And you're breadcrumbing your way there by dollar by dollar by dollar. And then when you get to a certain point and you're like, wow, I really have a nice chunk of change in the bank, that dream becomes more of a reality, right? That optimism that you feel after having put in that work is priceless. And it's also the fuel to keep you going. That's how the energy of this week can play out over the long term. Yes, there are days when it sucks. There are days when you don't want to do anything, but that's the whole point of discipline. Discipline is being able to do the thing even after the euphoria of doing the thing has worn off, right? So understand that. So, what I want to leave you with, at least with this theme, is have the dream, be willing to put in the work to achieve it, and be optimistic about it, right? Because that's what's going to keep you going. And that's what makes a dream a reality. It's the work that you're willing to put in while still holding the vision. And this is the energy that is at our disposal this week of all weeks when we start a new fiscal year. So, how lucky are we in that sense? The universe is like, listen, I'm giving you this right now. Like, I'm giving you this energy because you need to build on it, because shit's going to get a little crazy going into 2025, especially spring into summer. The middle months are going to be very shifty. So I need you to be grounded in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And this is the week where we started. So keep that in mind. All right. And speaking of the week, let's look at the week and see what we've got going on. All right. So for the week of December 30th, we start off today with the new moon in Capricorn. Then we've got Mercury trine Chiron. Venus will be entering Pisces, like I said. Mars will be trining the North Node. Mars will also be opposite Pluto, which is going to throw a curveball in the week, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Then the sun will sextile Saturn, while Pluto sextiles the North Node, which is going to be hella interesting. All right. So let's look at what the moon is doing this week. Obviously, we know that today we have that new moon in Capricorn. Then thereafter, for the rest of the week, the moon is going to be in the waxing crescent phase, right? And that's the part of the lunar cycle where we gain momentum. We take action steps towards the fulfillment of our goals, right? And so the moon will be waxing in the signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries this week. All right. So let's get into Monday, see what we got going on, which is today. There's that new moon in Capricorn that I was talking about. Let's see what this looks like on the chart. You'll see at the upper right-hand corner, both the sun and the moon are at 19 degrees of, not 19, 9. Did I say 9? Yes, 9 degrees of Capricorn. All right. So new moon, new me, right? New moons are all about setting new intentions and planting new seeds. And in a sign like Capricorn, like I said, it's about planting seeds that you want to commit to, long-term goals. Saturn loves, not Saturn, Capricorn likes a challenge, okay? The reason why Capricorn is the GOAT, it's because getting to that GOAT stage, and when I say GOAT, I mean greatest of all time, getting to the top of the mountain is a challenge. Hard-earned success is, dare I say, sexy to Capricorn. That's how Capricorn likes success. Not anything that's easily handed over to them or easily attained, right? So when we're setting intentions during the new moon in Capricorn, it's like you want to challenge yourself. Like I said, you don't want to limit yourself to something that you absolutely know will manifest. Like something like, yeah, I want to make $5 this year. The universe will low-key kind of laugh at you, because the universe is like, you know you're more powerful than that. Why are you limiting yourself? What are you afraid of? That's a whole other video for another day, though. But challenge yourself with these intentions, okay? Now, it's happening, this new moon is happening at the 9th degree of Capricorn. And in numerology, 9 has to do with completion, but not finality. So we're about to enter into a new fiscal year. The number 9 is about, listen, this cycle is ending and a new one is about to begin. So I would suggest that when it comes to the energy of this new moon, now keep in mind, this new moon is today, but the energy will last for 3 days. Challenge yourself to be intentional about committing to something that perhaps you've never committed to, or to which it's almost like you've graduated high school and now you're going to commit to going to college. So perhaps you've closed a door at this point in time. And many of us are, because it is the fiscal year, right? Even though this is not the natural new year, business-wise, this is when things wind down, because now you're about to start a fresh quarter in a fresh year, right? One door is closing, another is opening. Challenge yourself to level up with this intention. For instance, let's say that you, unlike me, were intentional in 2024. And at the beginning of 2024, you said, listen, I am going to lose 40 pounds. And maybe, just maybe now on December 30th, you've lost 40 pounds, or you're very close. And you're excited, right? Because you have this new body, you feel different, but you have the euphoria of having completed a challenging goal. I would challenge you in 2025 to commit to the goal of maybe like running a marathon or doing something that pushes the limits of your new body, right? That's the feeling that this new moon in Capricorn is giving us. It's like, okay, let's level up. Let's go to the next level. Let's graduate, right? Let's move up the ladder. So think about that when, after you watch this video, of course, when you're sitting down and you're figuring out, okay, what is it that I want to manifest with this particular new moon? All right. So challenge yourself. Capricorn loves a good challenge. All right. And then when it comes to the astrology of this new moon, and I'm not going to get into this because this is a lot more advanced astrology, but the aspects as it relates to this new moon is known as a mystic triangle. All right. And so we've got Pluto, Mars, and the North and the South node involved in the energy of this new moon. So Pluto, transformative. Mars is like, listen, I'm really motivated and driven about starting something new. And the North and the South node, it's destiny, right? It's destiny. It's I'm, leaving this behind and moving forward on this. So this is a heavy new moon, right? That Capricorn energy can be quite weighty, but this is really about taking things to the next level. So I suggest that you do that when setting your intentions. All right. And again, the energy of this new moon will be around for 3 days. So if you don't get to it tonight, you can definitely get to it tomorrow or sometime thereafter, at least before Thursday. Excuse me, before Thursday, and get it popping. All right. So there's Monday. Let's look at Tuesday. Let's see what we got for Tuesday. Tomorrow, we've got Mercury trine Chiron, and then the moon is going to be waxing in the sign of Capricorn. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So Mercury trine Chiron. Did I not put this? I did not. Mercury is at 19 degrees of Sagittarius. Chiron is at 19 degrees of Aries. And then we have the moon that is waxing in Capricorn. All right. So whenever we're talking about Chiron, we are talking about our wounds and our insecurities. Mercury trine Chiron is really great to become conscious of those wounds. Not only to become conscious of them, but to sort of rewire how you think now that you've sort of healed from these wounds. But what Mercury trine Chiron is really great for, giving testimony with respect to what you have overcome. Now, the thing about Chiron is it's not just about, okay, I have these wounds and I heal from them. In healing, in overcoming these obstacles, it's like you provide the blueprint for everybody else. It's like you are the example. And so speaking about how you have changed, speaking about how overcoming this insecurity has helped you achieve X, Y, and Z is really great, right? So speaking could mean literally speaking to someone, like having a one-to-one conversation. It could be doing something like this, like on YouTube. It could be writing a blog post. It could be just any way to get that information out will definitely thrive under this transit, all right? And what I'm getting right now is that in the coming year, okay, because Pluto is now permanently in Aquarius, the way that we think and sort of the ideologies that we have are going to be changing, okay? And your uniqueness is definitely going to be emphasized and needed. Okay. And I feel like over the next year, many people are going to be called to really put themselves out there, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on social media, whatever it is. I feel like many people are going to be called. And I feel like being able to testify to what you have been through, what you have conquered is really going to be important. And I use conquered intentionally because Chiron is in Aries. Aries is the warrior. People want to hear about the dragons that you have slayed because it helps them, right? Sometimes it's not even about how you did it. It's just the fact that you did it. The fact that you did it could really spark something in someone else to say, if they can do it, I can do it too. Or they had the courage, so I can have the courage too. That's how this works. And it's reminding me of how with spirituality, it's not so much about, I have this light and I light your candle for you. My job is to just alert you to the fact that you have light within yourself. And so you can light your own candle, and then they light their own candle, and so forth and so on. And that's sort of what this Mercury trine Chiron transit is really giving. It's giving like, listen, this is my story. This is what I went through. This is what I endured. This is how I slayed this dragon. And this is how you can too. Or maybe you just needed to hear someone else's testimony in order to have courage to either, work on your own insecurities or give your own testimony, right? But either way, it's great for that. Okay. So keep that in mind. And this doesn't have to be on a grand scale. This doesn't have to be on the scale of YouTube or now you're posting, reels every day on Instagram. It could literally be having a conversation with somebody, right? Having a conversation with a friend, having a conversation with a family member, right? Those count too. So if you are feeling guided to, and the fact that Mercury is going to be trine Chiron, both of these are in fire signs. It's almost like you're going to feel really motivated to do that, to speak on it, to talk about it, right? And if you're feeling that motivation, if you're feeling that push, do it. It will not only help you, it will help others immensely. All right. And then tomorrow, we also have the moon is going to be waxing in the sign of Capricorn. So this is the time to take action steps. Remember what I said about Capricorn energy. It's discipline and consistency. So get to work. So I love this. This is very characteristic of Capricorn energy. Capricorn is like, okay, we're going to climb that mountain. Cool. Let's get to work right now. And that's exactly what it is. So whatever intention you're setting at this new moon, be prepared to take action right now. Now understand that there are going to be some obstacles. That's the thing about Capricorn. Capricorn is not just like, oh, this is going to be easy breezy. Capricorn understands that there's going to be obstacles, setbacks, and delays. One of those delays being Mars retrograde right now. So you're probably going to take action. And there may be delays, there may be frustrations, things may not happen, right? But Capricorn is like, yo, we keep it pushing. We push through. We power through. So set the intentions, get to work. All right. That's Tuesday. Now let's go to Wednesday. All right. So on Wednesday, the moon is going to be waxing in Aquarius. All right. And I love Aquarius energy, particularly when the moon is in Aquarius. All right. And so let's see what we have going on with the chart. You'll see at the bottom in the red circle, the moon will be at 0 degrees of Aquarius and it will conjunct Pluto. Okay, so this is really important because Wednesday is New Year's Day, right? And so, yeah, if you're all about that new year, new me, the astrology is going to help you out because the moon is going to be in Aquarius conjunct Pluto. That's transformation at its finest. Transformation for improvement, for innovation, right? Like for instance, I love using weight loss and examples because they're pretty easy to understand. So you're like, okay, new moon in Capricorn, I commit to losing 20 pounds this year. Yes. I'm ready to get to work. So ahead of the curve tomorrow on, New Year's Eve, you decide to go to the gym. And while at the gym, you're talking to someone and they're like, oh my gosh, have you seen this app? This app not only tracks all of your micros and macros, but it tells you when to eat them. And it also sets an alarm so that you don't miss the optimal times to eat your protein and to eat your carbs. They're like, I literally just discovered this a month ago and I've already lost 20 pounds over the last month. And you're like, mind blown. So guess what? That day, you download that app. And now you have taken action, or you're taking action in a much more streamlined and innovative way, which could make you, or which could allow you to reach your goal even faster. That's this energy of new moon in Capricorn going into waxing moon in Aquarius. Hopefully that example made sense. But that new moon in Aquarius is like, all right, so what are we changing? What are we getting rid of? What are we innovating? What are we improving? And because it's the moon in Aquarius, you're going to feel like you want to do that. I mean, of course, January 1st is like, the energy of January 1st is so interesting, right? Because we look at things so linearly. We're like, okay, January 1st, we started new. But let's be real. A lot of us carry the same old bullshit into another new fiscal year. It's a cycle, right? And many of us are still stuck in the same cycle, even if the calendar has changed. But Aquarius energy is about breaking cycles. Aquarius energy is like, listen, we're improving things because we are cutting things off. We've decided, and with the moon conjunct Pluto, it's like, listen, this karmic cycle, this karmic loop we were in, that ends now. It ends today. Some of you may feel the energy of Aquarius can be very electric because one of the ruling planets of Aquarius is Uranus, right? And Uranus is the planet of surprise. So the energy of Aquarius can be electric. It can be very sudden. It can be like a thunderbolt, right? That's how fast Aquarius energy can work, particularly when it comes to your mind. So, that being said, allow yourself to change, especially if like your intuition is telling you, yeah, I need to cut this off. Like, let's say you wake up on January 1st after having partied the night before and all of that, and you're like, listen, I'm not drinking anymore. And I'm not talking about you're hungover, throwing up, oh, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not talking about that. It's like you wake up and you're like, I don't even want alcohol anymore. Oh, I'm about to go vegan today. Like, that's how Aquarius energy can work. So listen to your intuition, particularly on the 1st. It can really clue you into maybe what you got to get rid of, what you got to take on, what you have to incorporate, what you have to cut out. And it can work really suddenly and surprisingly. And I like this for us starting off the new year. It's like, listen, we're not playing any games. We're not going into 2025 with the same old bullshit. Aquarius is chopping it off, right? Cutting it out and breaking those karmic cycles. So I love that. So that's Wednesday. So now let's get into Thursday. See what that's looking like. All right. So on Thursday, Venus is going to be entering Pisces and Mars is going to be trine the North Node. All right. And so this is what that looks like on the chart. All right. You will see Venus at 0 degrees of Pisces. And you will see what else was going on? Mars trine the North Node. At the very top of that large red circle, you'll see the North Node is at 0 degrees of Aries. And then over on the left-hand portion, you'll see Mars at 1 degree of Leo. All right. So let's talk about Venus entering Pisces. I kind of alluded to this before, but Venus entering Pisces, you're going to want to look to see where Pisces is in your natal chart. This is where you will experience Venusian-like things. Okay, so when it comes to love, when it comes to romance, relationships, fairness, finances, all of those are going to be the undercurrent of whatever Pisces, whatever the theme of the Pisces house in your chart is. So, for instance, let's say that Pisces is your 10th house, right? Your 10th house is the house of career and public life. So this could be your relationship to your boss, your superiors, or it could be the money that you get from the work that you do. Okay, those are going to be the focus when Venus goes into Pisces. Now, Venus is exalted in Pisces, and that's a fancy astrology term that just means that Venus is treated like an absolute queen. Whenever a planet is in the sign of its exaltation, it's like going to a party that's being thrown for you. Only you. You are the man of the hour. You are the queen. Everyone is there just for you. And so you get to shine. So the energy of Venus is extremely potent when in the sign of Pisces. Now, Pisces has a lot to do with emotions, and Venus in Pisces is very romantic, very idyllic, very lovey-dovey, very tender, very compassionate. It's very soft kind of love, okay? But Pisces also represents spirituality. And so Venus in Pisces has a lot to do with our relationship to spirituality, right? Love for humanity. You can also think of Venus in Pisces as like, I don't want to say Christ consciousness, but you know how, Christ teaches about unconditional love, that's definitely Venus in Pisces. Now, the downside, or let me not say the downside, the flip side to Venus in Pisces is that love has no boundaries. So, love with no boundaries can keep you open to abuse. It can have you open to, like, you attract like wolves in sheep's clothing. You get taken advantage of because you have no boundaries. All right. However, suffice it to say, I think that Venus in Pisces is a really beautiful kind of transit. All right. And that's what we're going to be experiencing beginning on Thursday. And like I said before, this is a preview to sort of the North Node in Pisces. That's going to be the focus of 2025 beginning at the end of January. Okay. So wherever Pisces is in your chart, beginning this week is where you're going to feel a little more positivity. Okay. Because Venus is a very positive planet. It's where you're going to experience issues related to love, issues related to relationships, right? So for me, Pisces is my 11th house. The 11th house covers friendship. So this particular transit for me is going to have a lot to do about friendship, right? And my friendships, my associations, and all of that stuff. Those relationships are going to be highlighted. So again, take a look at where Pisces is in your chart. This is going to be the emphasis throughout the entire month of January. And then it's going to be an even bigger focus by the end of January throughout the rest of the year. All right. Now, at the same time, we've got Mars trine the North Node. Now, the North Node is the North Star. And the North Node is in Aries and it is getting ready to move into Pisces. Okay. Mars trine the North Node, with Mars being the ruler of Aries, and Mars currently being retrograde in the fire sign of Leo. This is about looking into the recesses of your heart and finding what you really want. And I'm emphasizing really because sometimes you think you want something, but when it comes to fighting for it, you're not willing to fight for it. So that means that you don't really want it. Mars trine the North Node is like, listen, my desires and my destiny are one, and I'm willing to fight for it tooth and nail. And it's not to say that you got to fight for it in a negative sense. It's like you're willing to defend it, right? If you ever had a very strong belief, right, it didn't matter what anybody else said. You still had that belief, regardless of how anyone tried to refute it or tried to change your mind, right? That's sort of the energy of Mars trine the North Node. And so since Mars is in Leo has a lot to do with the heart, the passion of the heart, the desires of the heart. So what is it that you really want? Now, this is the beauty of this transit. Let's say you don't really know. This transit will show you what you really want in a good way, right? There are some transits that will show you what you want by giving you what you don't want. This is one of those things where the universe is like, I know the desires of your heart here. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Because Mars is retrograde, there's going to be this introspection that's going to happen with this transit. Okay. Because maybe, just maybe, Leo has a lot to do with confidence. And so maybe this thing that the universe is giving to you and is saying, here, I know the desires of your heart and I'm giving it to you. Maybe you're like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could have this. I don't know if I could live up to this, right? There's this second guessing that may come with this presentation that the universe is giving you. And the universe is like, but don't you want this? Like, I thought you wanted this. And you're like, yeah, but I don't know. It's like, I had this conversation many years ago. I have this shade of red lipstick that I love to wear. If you've watched enough of my videos on this channel, you've undoubtedly seen it. But I remember having this discussion with a group of women and, my mom hates it when I wear this red lipstick. She's like, she thinks it's too garish. She thinks it's too attention seeking, right? It's too look at me, right? And so to her, wearing red, it's like, even if she likes it, even if she thinks this is nice, I would like to wear it, there's something within her that's like, I don't want that much attention, or I can't handle that kind of attention, right? That's kind of how this transit can play out. The universe is like, here you go. And you're like, but I don't know. This is a lot. It's almost like, of course, when we're talking about things like work, we all want more money. We always feel like we're not getting paid enough for what we're doing. But then you get a promotion, right? And hopefully it comes with more money, but it also comes with more responsibility. And when shit hits the fan, you are accountable, right? Especially if you've moved up into an upper management, supervisory, director role. Like the captain has to go down with their ship. And so, as much as you may want the money, right? That's Mars, that passion. I want this money. That Mars retrograde is like, but I don't know if I want the responsibility. I don't know if I want everything. I don't know if I can shoulder everything myself. So it's really going to require you to think about things like confidence, what you really want. Can you live up to what you really want? Right. The thing about retrogrades, it asks you a lot of questions. And questions can help qualify things, right? It can help qualify a plan, like in the case of Mercury retrograde. In the case of Mars retrograde, it can help qualify desire. In the case of Venus retrograde, which we will be experiencing this year, it can qualify relationships. Asking and answering these questions within you is exactly what that does. And so that's what we have to look forward to on Thursday. All right. So now let's move on to Friday. So Friday, now this is where things get interesting. We have Mars opposite Pluto, and we've got the waxing crescent moon in Pisces. All right. And so let's see what this looks like on the chart. So Mars, you'll see at the upper left-hand corner is at 0 degrees of Leo. At the very opposite side, you will see Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. And then you'll see at the upper portion, you will see Pisces. The moon will be in Pisces. All right. So now a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on the Mars opposite Pluto transit. I did a dedicated video to that. I'll also leave the link to the description. I'll also leave the link to that video in the description below so that you can refresh your memory or watch it for the first time. Mars opposite Pluto can be quite volatile. Okay. Now, the only way I can describe it, and I'm using this example because my favorite movie is The Godfather. Okay. The trilogy, not part 3, because that was trash, but parts 1 and 2, that's my thing. And actually, the other day, I spent the 6 hours watching that movie for like the 150th time. Okay. Now, in the movie, there's this mob war, right, between these 5 families. And one of the characters is like preparing for this war. And he's talking to one of the older mafiosos in the family. And the mafioso says, these things, these wars, they happen every 10 years or so, but they're necessary. He's like, it gets rid of the bad blood, right? And so that's very emblematic of this transit, this Mars opposite Pluto. Okay. It gets rid of the bad blood. It can be very volatile when we're talking about Mars and Pluto. Now, mind you, both of these planets are the rulers of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. So, pro tip, you're going to want to look at wherever Scorpio is in your chart. This is where you are going to, apart from Leo and Aquarius, Scorpio is also where you're going to feel the effects of this transit. Okay, so word to the wise, look at where Scorpio is in your natal chart, as well as Leo and Aquarius. But when we're talking about Mars and Pluto, we're talking about violence. We're talking about power struggles. We're talking about manipulation. We're talking about obsession. We're talking about all of the ugly things in the world. We're talking about war. We're talking about fighting. We're talking about competition. And so be mindful that this particular transit can and likely will lead to some type of violence. I'm not saying that it's going to be violence in your life, but I guarantee, we hear about violence every day. However, this is a very emblematic transit of violence. Even things like grape, I can't say that word here on YouTube. SA, you guys know what that is as well. Those are possible under this transit. And again, it's not to scare you. I'm just giving you the truth. Okay. Now, if you find yourself in opposition with someone, This is not the time to fight. This is the time to let shit calm down, let cooler heads prevail, and avoid fighting because it could get very, very ugly. Okay. But apart from all of the violence and all of that, Mars opposite Pluto, it's all about empowerment. Okay. And where does your power lie? What kind of control do you have over yourself? Now, the axis of Leo and Aquarius has a lot to do with standing out, which is Leo, and fitting in, which is Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of the collective. So this could be, regardless of wherever Leo and Aquarius are in your chart, the undertone, the undercurrent of the energy has a lot to do with standing out and perhaps going left while everyone else is going right, following your heart while everyone else is telling you to do this one thing that you don't want to do, shining versus blending in, and the emotions that come up with that. The inherent in that is a power struggle, right? It could be one of those situations where you're just like, listen, I'm passionate about this. Like everyone in my family is a doctor and I'm expected to go to medical school and become a doctor. I don't want to. I really want to be a musician, right? And then boom, a fight ensues because the group is like, but listen, we have this family legacy. Everyone here is a doctor. This is what is expected of you. Like we're not asking you. We are telling you that this is what you're supposed to do. Meanwhile, you're like, no, I am meant, the way that I shine, my unique personality is that of a musician. And that's what I'm going to do. And the power struggle is, do you give in to the group or do you go out on your own? And with Mars retrograde, you're also dealing with the inner confidence to stand out on your own, kind of like what I was talking about before. You want the thing, but are you confident enough to have the thing? It's a mind fuck. This particular transit is a mind fuck, right? It can be a power grab. It could be people using manipulative tactics to get ahead, and in a way that's extremely overt, right? In a way that is destructive. All right. So keep that in mind. And now, whenever we have oppositions, it's meant to find a balance. That may be hard to do with Mars retrograde and with Pluto kind of changing things up and sort of providing this volatility. It may be difficult to do, but finding a suitable medium, right? And the suitable medium could be not fucking somebody up. The suitable medium could be not slashing somebody's face. That is a suitable medium. Yes. You don't want to get your face slashed or go to jail, right? That's a good medium for right now. I'm not saying that with this transit, you have to engage in peaceful talks and come to some sort of treaty. This could literally be holding yourself back from fucking somebody's shit up, right? That's perfectly fine. But whatever it is, right, you're going to want to, especially whatever comes up. And I use come up intentionally because the way that Pluto works, Pluto unearths things. This power struggle could really be a reflection of your lack of personal empowerment. It could really be the fact that you feel like you have to manipulate people because you never feel like you can win fairly, right? Those deeper psychological things are going to be unearthed. And so you really need to process them. Okay, so this is a heavy transit. And if you want to know more about it, I will leave the link in the description box below so you could check out that video in its entirety. All right. And then at the same time, we have the moon going into Pisces, which is like hella sensitive. Moon in Pisces is really feeling the feels. And you're going to want to be careful because when the moon is in Pisces, we tend to take on other people's emotions, right? When the fish swims in the same ocean as the shark, there's no boundaries there. So if you've got people who are doing some fuck shit, people who are really angry, frustrated, a whole bunch of stuff, be mindful to not take that on as your own. This is not one of those transits where you take up somebody else's fight, okay? Let people deal with their own shit. Drink your water and mind your business, okay? That's the best way to get through this particular transit, along with the moon in Pisces, right? All right. So that's Friday. Let's move on to Saturday and see what we have. All right, so Saturday, we've got the sun trine, not trine. We have the sun sextile Saturn, all right? So let's look Let's see what this looks like on the chart. Right. So we've got the sun at 14 degrees of Capricorn. And at the upper right hand portion, you'll see Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces. All right. Now, I particularly like Sun Saturn aspects because they can really bring recognition, right? Or opportunities for leadership. Okay. Stepping into like your boss or authority era. Okay. And this is very true given the fact that the sun is in Capricorn. This is bossing up. Okay. Now, this also depends on where this is happening as it relates to your natal chart, but this is stepping into your own authority. Okay. Now, keep in mind that this is coming off the heels of this Mars opposite Pluto transit. Okay. And so that Mars opposite Pluto transit can definitely show you where you are empowered or where you lack empowerment. And then the sun sextile Saturn can really help you solidify your authority, your inner authority. Okay? Like recognizing where you are the goat. Like I said, this particular transit can really bring recognition. So this could have you getting some kind of award, this could have you getting a promotion, this could have you now, it may just provide the opportunity for these things, right? Sort of the leeway for these things. It's not to say that this particular transit means that you're going to get a promotion. It could open a lane up for you to get a promotion. Okay? It could open a lane up for you to take a leadership kind of position. Okay. Take the opportunity. Even if you're scared, even if you don't feel like you're confident. Who is it? I think it's Sir Richard Branson who said, like, don't say no to an opportunity, like say yes and then learn how to do it. Like the sun sextile Saturn, that's what that's going to feel like. So say yes to that opportunity and be willing to put in the work and grow into this role that perhaps you're being presented with, or, getting into this lane that is opening up for you. Okay. I feel like that's a nice boost of positivity. All right. And then finally, we get to Sunday. And this is what's going on Sunday. We've got Pluto sextile the North Node and the waxing crescent moon in Aries. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. We've got Pluto at the right hand portion of the chart at 1 degree of Aquarius. We've got the North Node at 0 degrees of Aries. And then we have the moon that's also going to be in Aries that day in the waxing crescent phase. All right. So Pluto sextile the North Node is interesting. Interesting because Pluto does not sextile the North Node often. I can't, I'd have to research when the last time this happened. It may not have happened in our lifetime, or it may not have happened for the last 60 years or something like that. Okay. This is a unique opportunity, right? Because it's a sextile, it's an opportunity to completely transform, but not just completely transform. It is to get into alignment with where you are meant to go. And I say it is unique because we have not experienced this transit before. Okay. Or if we have, it's been a long time. Okay. But this is not an everyday, regular kind of transit. Now, I want you to understand how Pluto works. Pluto works by decimating things. So I'm telling you, if something is ending, if something is not working, if something is more resistance than anything else, let it the fuck go. The universe will swoop in and give you something new. That's what this transit feels like. But you have to be willing to let go. And I'm talking about let go, really let go. Shut that door, bolt it shut, walk away. Not, okay, I'm not going to do this right now, but maybe in a couple of months. No, let it go. Let it go. Throw it in the trash, break up with them, leave that job, leave that town. I'm talking about not temporary, permanently shutting something down, permanently letting go of something. That is going to be the key to being in alignment. And If you're not familiar with what being in alignment feels like, being in alignment feels like all the pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly. Like, have you ever been in a situation where it's like you needed something and there was only one left of that thing and you were able to get it right on time? That's what alignment feels like. It feels like things almost magically come together. And you holding on to something with a death grip that's not in alignment is taking you so far away from alignment. The minute that you drop it is the minute that it's like all of the planets line up one after the other and rain blessings on you. Like, that's what this particular transit feels like. Now, for some, this may be, you may be very cognizant of what this thing you need to let go of is. So it's not to say that it's easier, but you're conscious of it. So now it becomes a power of will, right? An issue of will. Do you have the willpower to let this thing go? For some, the universe is going to snatch this shit out of your hands. And you're going to be like, but I wanted that. But I wanted them. But I love living here. I'm used to this. We've been friends since kindergarten. Let it go. Let it go. The minute that you let it go, the universe is like, oh, finally, now I can give you what you really want, what you really need, what's really in alignment with you, right? So let it go. If it's not working, let it go. If the universe is snatching it, even more so, let it go. And then at the same time, we have the moon in Aries. Aries is all about taking action. So I love this because if you know that there's something that you're supposed to let go of, and you've been very hesitant to do so, that moon in Aries is going to have you being like, you know what? Let me cut this the fuck off. Let me not do this. Let me let this go. Let me end this. Let me close this door. And you're going to feel good about it. Now, it may also feel a little impulsive because that's the way that Aries rolls. Like, Aries doesn't really put too much thought in it. Aries is like, oh, I feel this. Boom, let's go. Aries is not going to overthink. Aries is just going to do. So perhaps that's how you have to approach this. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because if it's something that we know we have to let go of and we haven't let go of it, maybe we need to be a little impulsive to do it. It's like, you know, when you had a Band-Aid on and you had to take it off and you tried to take it off a little bit, but it got caught on like a hair or something and it hurt. And you were like, oh, no, I'm not going to take it off. Not going to take it off. And then what happened? Either someone else or you was just like, boom, and just ripped it off. Like, that's how Aries works. So if you, again, holding on to something you know you need to let go of, or if the universe is snatching it out of your hands, let it happen. Do it, let go, or allow it to happen, because now you have the opportunity to get into alignment. And that is a beautiful thing. And I love that that's how we end the week, because we're ending the week empowered. We're ending the week with getting on the right track and moving into 2025 from a place of alignment, along with everything else I talked about in this broadcast. All right, my love. So that is the energy for the week. All right. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you could use going into this new year. And speaking of which, I cannot thank you guys enough. The phrase thank you is not enough to express how I feel about you guys. Some of you have been rocking with me for years because I've been doing this for years now. Others of you are new, but either way, your likes, your subscribes, your comments, all of it means the world to me. And I'm so thankful that you guys have rocked with me this year. And I'm hoping that you guys stick around for 2025 because things are going to get interesting. And you're going to need the weekly Astro Forecast to help you get through it. All right. So I'm going to be here for you. Let's be here together. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best as we close off this year and move into a whole new ball game. All right. Enjoy your week. And I will see you next year. As corny as that sounds. All right, my loves. Take care. And I'll see you next week.